Tomorrow marks my son's long-awaited wedding. I found myself immersed in nostalgia in a hotel room with my daughter, reminiscing about precious moments with my son. Tears welled up in my eyes. "Mom, are you crying already?" teased my daughter, prompting me to quickly wipe away my tears. Concerned about our pet dog, Marine, back home, I tapped a button to check the live feed from the pet camera. To my shock, the screen didn't show our beloved dog, but instead revealed my husband and another woman embracing on our bed. My daughter, curious about my stunned reaction, peered at the smartphone and exclaimed, "This is Isabella." Isabella was none other than my future daughter-in-law. Taking the smartphone from my son's selfie stick, my daughter turned to me with a serious expression. "Let's reveal this tomorrow." I hesitated, not wanting to spoil my son's special day, but a chilling phrase from the smartphone made me accept my daughter's proposal. "I'm going to expose everything to everyone. My name is Olivia. I'm a 51-year-old housewife, living an ordinary life. For the past decade, I've worked part-time as a cashier, earning respect as the longest-serving employee. My husband Jacob recently turned 60 and works in an office. We met at work, where he trained me. His dependable nature drew me in, and after marriage, he became increasingly patriarchal, avoiding household chores due to work demands. We have 2 children, Noah, a reserved yet now assertive young man, and Emma, soon to graduate and start her career. Noah has been dating Isabella since high school, and she's practically family. Despite our initial joy at Noah's impending marriage, Isabella's behavior grew erratic. Suspicion gnawed at me, and one afternoon, returning from work, I found Jacob and Isabella oddly together in our living room, her hair still damp. "What's going on? Jacob, why aren't you at work?" I demanded, unsettled by their uneasy silence. "I apologize for intruding while you were out, even using the shower and borrowing some of Noah's clothes. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, especially since Jacob should be at work," Isabella said timidly. "It's all right, Isabella. Don't worry. We're going to be family soon, so there's no need to be so formal," I reassured her. She brightened up immediately and hugged me warmly. Isabella's outgoing nature made physical affection like this quite common, so I accepted it easily. "Isabella is really sweet. I wish she'd hug me too," I thought to myself, prompting her to retort playfully, seeming somewhat pleased by the interaction. Despite any misgivings, I assured myself nothing untoward could happen. Isabella soon left, mentioning she was going home. However, she began visiting our house more frequently when Noah wasn't around. "Hey Jacob, Isabella has been coming over quite often lately, hasn't she?" I asked one evening. "Well, Noah's always working late. She must get lonely. Isn't she adorable, like a real daughter?" Jacob replied casually. "That does make sense when you put it that way. But every time she's here, she ends up sitting next to you, chatting away," I observed, feeling uneasy about their closeness. I wasn't the only one concerned. Emma, our daughter, had also mentioned it several times. "Isabella, aren't you getting a bit too cozy with Dad? Are you trying to steal him away?" Emma teased lightly. "That's not what I mean," Emma protested, her voice rising in frustration. Isabella giggled and clung to Jacob in a playful, childish manner that he indulged. Witnessing this odd scene, Emma and I began to feel increasingly uncomfortable around Isabella. Eventually, when our son Noah finally had a day off, we decided to go wedding dress shopping. I had initially thought it would just be Noah and me going to choose a wedding dress with Isabella, but she insisted we all come along to help her decide. My husband, delighted by her request, readily agreed. Thus, Jacob and I joined Noah and Isabella on the dress shopping expedition. In the fitting room, Isabella tried on dress after dress, asking for our opinions each time. Emerging from behind the curtain, our future daughter-in-law looked stunning. Her tall, slender frame complemented the dresses perfectly, drawing admiration from all of us, especially Noah, who was completely smitten. He was so overcome with emotion that tears streamed down his face, creating a warm and joyful atmosphere that even the sales associate couldn't help but join in. However, the mood was abruptly interrupted by a certain action from my husband. "She really is beautiful, especially that waistline. It's perfect," Jacob remarked, stepping closer to Isabella and gently touching her waist. "Dad, what are you doing?" Noah exclaimed, visibly surprised, and I shared his bewilderment. Isabella, though, burst into laughter. "Jacob, you're so naughty," she teased playfully. "Oh, really? My apologies then," Jacob chuckled, seemingly unfazed by the awkwardness he caused. Isabella laughed along with him, But I couldn't shake off my discomfort with her response, nor could Noah, who frowned deeply. When Isabella returned to the fitting room for another dress, and Jacob excused himself to the restroom, Noah took the opportunity to share his concerns with me. "Mom, I've been so busy lately, but Isabella's been hard to reach. We used to text all the time, but now it's like she's avoiding me. I have a bad feeling about this. What do you think?" As I tried to address my son's evident concerns, I replied, "I think it's okay, isn't it? After all, Isabella comes over to our house every day." "Every day?" Noah seemed taken aback. "I didn't realize. She comes for dinner every day and gets along so well with Dad. They even drink together." Realizing the weight of Noah's words, I fell into deep thought. I wanted to discuss his worries further, but Isabella emerged from the fitting room, interrupting our conversation. From then on, she continued to frequent our home, often occupying the spot next to my husband. Initially, she would avoid being around when Noah was present, but recently, she sat close to Jacob regardless of our son's presence. Emma, our daughter, frequently expressed dissatisfaction with this situation. However, every time she voiced her concerns, my husband would become defensive, which only made matters worse. 3 days before the wedding, our son and Isabella surprised us with a hotel stay voucher. The room was located above the banquet hall where the reception would take place, offering us a luxurious stay on the wedding day. Originally intended for 2 people, Emma was supposed to stay home. But due to an unexpected business trip for my husband the day before, Emma and I ended up going together. The hotel was exquisite, and our room was wonderfully appointed. Emma and I delighted in the luxury and hospitality, and after a satisfying meal, we collapsed onto the bed, anticipating our son's wedding the next day. In the hotel room with Emma, memories of my son flooded my emotions, bringing tears to my eyes. "Mom, are you crying already?" teased Emma, prompting me to quickly wipe away my tears. Concerned about our pet dog, Marine, left at home, I checked the live feed from the pet camera. To my shock, it wasn't our dog on the screen, but my husband embracing a woman on our marital bed. Petrified, I stared at the smartphone, and Emma, intrigued by my reaction, glanced over and exclaimed, "It's Isabella." Emma snapped the smartphone from my hands, her expression serious. "We should show this tomorrow." Though I knew revealing this would mar what should have been a joyful occasion, a certain phrase from the smartphone compelled me to agree with Emma's suggestion. The next morning, the newlyweds visited our room. Our son appeared somewhat tired, likely from working late the previous day, while his wife seemed cheerful. "Oh, my father-in-law isn't here yet? I hope he's not too tired," Isabella remarked casually. Under normal circumstances, it would have been innocuous, but after witnessing yesterday's revelation, the implied meaning made me feel queasy. "Oh, Olivia, are you feeling unwell? I'm worried. Please don't collapse during the reception," Isabella continued cheerfully, unaware of Emma's glaring stare as she supported me. Suppressing my discomfort, I managed a smile. "I'm fine, dear Isabella. Shouldn't you start getting ready soon?" "All right then, I'll go get him ready," Isabella said, pulling our son along as they left. After they departed, Emma and I headed to meet the wedding coordinator. "Congratulations on the marriage," the coordinator greeted us. "Thank you," I replied, trying to maintain composure amidst the swirling emotions. I made a last-minute request, which was quite unusual, to the wedding coordinator. I wanted to play a video with music during the wedding vows. Surprisingly, the coordinator readily agreed. When asked if he could preview the content beforehand, I explained that I wanted it to be a surprise for everyone until the last moment. Respectfully, he agreed not to review it beforehand. I felt a pang of guilt for springing this on the hard-working coordinator at the last minute, but I also saw it as a perfect opportunity for justice. Just in time, my husband arrived at the hotel after meeting with the bride's parents. The wedding ceremony began smoothly, with our son looking solemn contrasted against the radiant bride. As the priest announced the time for vows, just as my son's wife was about to respond, the venue filled with the sounds of a man and a woman flirting. "Oh, stop. You know you can't touch me there." "Oh, really? But I know you love it, don't you?" The voice echoed through the venue, shocking the guests as a video began playing on the wall. My son's wife quickly realized what was happening and urgently gestured to the staff to stop the video, which showed my husband with Isabella. However, my daughter and I stood up and exclaimed loudly, "Wait, isn't that our dad?" "Oh my, it is. And the woman with him is Isabella." The guests buzzed with shock and confusion. My husband, pale and petrified, tried to pull me down to sit, but I shrugged him off, continuing to talk loudly with my daughter. Wait, they're both naked. And isn't that our parents' bedroom? You're right. I've never seen your father-in-law and daughter-in-law so close on a bed. Both my husband and my son's wife turned pale at our comments. The panicked staff tried to stop the video, but the guests prevented them, and it continued to play loudly without interruption. Then a bombshell dropped in the video. Actually, I'm pregnant. I was planning to announce it at the wedding tomorrow, but I think it might be your child. That's great. It'll be fun if Noah ends up raising my child. And when the child is born, we can have another one. The venue erupted in disbelief and chaos as the guests reacted to the shocking revelations in the video. I felt a throbbing headache building from this surreal drama unfolding around us. The guests were stunned and started whispering amongst themselves. My son's wife attempted to stop the audio herself, but her elaborate dress hindered her efforts, causing her frustration to grow as the video continued to play. Stop it, Jacob, she exclaimed in vain. Aha, maybe I should suggest we all live together and leave all the housework to the old hag. My husband's voice echoed through the venue. That old hag he's referring to is me. How rude, I commented to my daughter, who sympathized before adding, Yeah, Mom, I feel sorry for you, but wow, those two are really going at it, aren't they? The guests chuckled at my daughter's blunt observation, while both my husband and my son's wife blushed deeply. As the video finally ended, a heavy silence fell over the room. The first to break it was my son's wife, her typically beautiful face contorted in anger, breathing heavily. My husband stood up defensively, trying to explain, It's not what it seems. You're misunderstanding. Ignoring his excuses, I turned to my daughter and remarked, That old hag he mentioned. That's me. Can you believe it? Before I could contain my amusement, loud laughter erupted from the front of the room. It was my son. All eyes turned to him as he laughed uncontrollably, seemingly losing his composure. After a hearty laugh, his expression suddenly turned serious. I knew about Dad's affair with Isabella. I was genuinely surprised by this surprise from you, Mom, and everyone else, he admitted. But Dad's excuse, he continued, barely able to contain his laughter. I can't help but laugh at it. Wait, what do you mean you knew? His wife exclaimed, clutching onto him in disbelief. Brushing her aside, my son retrieved an envelope from his pocket and tossed its contents towards the guests. What? What is this? I asked aloud, looking at the papers that my husband's wars revealed, images of him and my son's wife entering a hotel and in our bedroom. My son then turned towards the priest and addressed the guests, his voice now serious and composed. Thank you all for attending our divorce ceremony today, he announced calmly. The reception following this will be a dining event. Please enjoy your meal. Wait, Noah, what do you mean by divorce ceremony? His wife panicked, shouting at him. Unfazed, my son called over a staff member who handed him the microphone to address the stunned guests. It was about 6 months ago when I first discovered my father's affair with Isabella. I had returned home early that day feeling unwell. As I entered, voices echoed from my usually empty room. Fearing a burglar, I cautiously peeked inside, only to freeze in disbelief. There, playing on a screen, was footage of my own father and my girlfriend entangled intimately on my bed. Stop it, I managed to utter, stunned by the betrayal unfolding before me. Ignoring my feeble protests, my father grinned broadly, confronting his wife with a folder he retrieved from the cabinet. Here, we'll settle the details later, but for now, sign the divorce papers, he insisted coldly, as his wife pleaded tearfully. I don't want a divorce. I'm sorry, I love only you, she pleaded desperately. Despite her pleas, he remained stoic, pushing the pen towards her. The tense exchange continued until Isabella's father burst into the room, his face contorted with fury. Isabella, sign those papers now, he bellowed, enraged by the betrayal. Shocked into silence, we learned that Isabella's mother had also been involved in an affair which had been uncovered by Noah, leading to this tumultuous divorce ceremony. Amidst the chaos, Isabella and her mother were disowned, with claims for alimony swiftly initiated. After the legalities were addressed, my father, crestfallen, faced the final blow from our daughter. Dad, you're despicable. I can't believe you had an affair with my brother's wife. Don't ever show your face to us again. My husband, crushed by our daughter's rejection, looked up at us dazedly before we left the venue. Following Noah and Isabella's successful divorce, they secured a substantial amount of alimony. Isabella's father pledged to cover the costs, even as Isabella and her mother worked tirelessly to repay their share. In a further twist, a DNA test revealed my husband as the father of Isabella's child, shifting the burden of child support to him. Despite his financial struggles, my husband's deceit at work led to his dismissal, leaving him alone in a small apartment, juggling multiple part-time jobs. We eventually sold our home and relocated near our son, finding solace in a new apartment where laughter fills our days. Recently, our daughter introduced her college sweetheart, a kind and supportive man who has brought her joy amidst the recent turmoil. We look forward to the happiness ahead, grateful for the laughter that now defines